Welcome to Quick Bytes, the lunchtime live stream with your tech integration specialist, Scott Conway. Welcome everyone to today's live stream on the topic of email phishing scams and our awareness of them. I will be spotlighting Gmail today as we are a Google district, and how to kind of deal with some of those email phishing scams with the spam functionality, as well as some other tools right in Gmail. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that we have the chat session, or the ability to ask questions, out in the chat bar to the right of the video. If you have a question that you'd like to pose during our live session, if you're joining us live, please do so there, and I will try to get to all of them towards the end of our session today. So let's get right into this. Again, as I said, I want to spotlight Gmail today, so I will be working and showing you that platform. There may be tools available to you in your own email platform. There may be some tools built in by your own mail provider, whatever email provider you are using. They may be different if you're using a commercial account versus a residential account, or a consumer account versus an enterprise account. Enterprise we think of as business, commercial, business, enterprise. Consumer, residential is on the private side. So there are tools that are built in usually to help identify or alert you to the fact that a message might be a scam. But there are some other ways and things that we can do to kind of be on alert ourselves. So I want to kind of show you that today, talk about some of those things, demonstrate them to you. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to actually switch slides to this one. This is an email message that came into me just the other day, actually, April 24th. So this is really relevant and timely. I found this sitting in my spam folder in my Gmail account for my enterprise account, which is my district, my school district account. So most people would be absolutely alarmed by this, being in the industry that I'm in, and the fact that I do residential computer repair on the side. I know and have seen this hundreds of times, so I know this is completely fake, but this would absolutely shock most people and cause concern, and I understand why, because you get something like this in your inbox, a message like this, and it's very alarming. It's quite vulgar at some points. I had to blur out a portion of this message because of its vulgarity. I did not want to share this with everyone, but I'm sure many of you have actually come into contact with something like this, and hopefully you have just quickly deleted it. So I want to talk about some things to look for. Clearly, this message came into Gmail, and the Gmail big red bar right across the top, this message seems to be dangerous. And Gmail is completely right. There's nothing good about this message. The only good thing I can say is that it is 100% fake and can be completely deleted immediately. I did not leave this one in my account. That's why I took a screenshot, and I also wanted to blur out a portion of this, and it's in the slideshow. So this one is not in my account anymore. I deleted it immediately. But notice that Gmail is going to build in this nice big thick red bar at the top that says this message seems dangerous. Similar messages were used to steal people's information. Avoid clicking links, downloading attachments. This is a nice little feature. I know that we have turned some of this on in our admin console when we administer the Google Apps for Education suite. We control some of these messages. So I do want to add this disclaimer that you may not see all of this in your environment. Even if you're using Google Apps for Education in your district or your enterprise environment, you may not get this message. We have gone and configured our admin console to alert our staff members and faculty to these types of issues. We've also taken some additional steps. You can see the external tag is at the top of this message, meaning that it came from an outside email address. We do that, we turn that on as just an extra layer of awareness to the individual. Hey, if this email message is written in such a way that it's trying to identify that it's someone inside the district, someone that you know, or someone in your organization that you know, yet it says externals tagged to it, then that should raise a red flag. I know this is coming from Larry in accounting because the message is written as such, and Larry wants me to send him a gift card. And I know Larry because he works down the hall from me. But when I look up at the top and it says external, well, now I'm kind of concerned. Like, why would Larry, who is in the organization, email me from a different email address that's outside organization? So these are some of the things to think about. Not all of the measures that you see here in this video are going to be prevalent in your organization or your application. Just be aware of that. But there are measures that people can take to turn these types of features on in the admin console. They can add these extra layers of protection. Some platforms automatically have these things turned on. It really does depend on a lot of variables. So what I'm going to share with you today is what we have done in our organization to help alert our staff members and our individuals that there are certain scams out there. There's certain things to look for. We've tried to make it as obvious as possible. And there's some features that we've turned on in our console to help that. And that red bar is one of them. Now, if for some reason this message really was safe, and this one is not, what you're looking at right now is absolutely not safe, you would click the Look Safe button, and it will allow it to reclassify it and take it out of the spam folder. You can do that, and I'll show you kind of where that is. But this message here has all the markers of a malicious message. There are misspellings all over the place. The grammatical nature of this message is horrendous. It would not make it out of grade school that's for sure. You can also see that it looks like, or it has the telltale sign that it was actually translated with another piece of software. So this message was probably written in a different language from someone outside of our country, and then it went through a translation protocol that they tried to manipulate, because it's made some of the characters off, like the O's or zeros, slashes, and it's just real wonky. There's nothing good to this message. Please don't ever click on anything. Don't respond to this message. This type of message has all the telltale signs. They're leading you to believe that they have hacked your computer, taken it over. They're watching you through your video camera. And yes, by understanding that that can happen, I don't want to downplay the fact that that can happen. But the computer I'm on has no signs or symptoms of any other type of infection, and this message really is just that. It's a phishing scheme. They are casting their rod and their lure and seeing as they reel in who they can grab. And they might get someone to click on a link in the message, or they might get someone to reply back and say something, and then they send you another message with a link that when you click on it, it does in fact infect your computer or take over your computer or lock it up with ransomware, and then it becomes a bigger problem. As of right now, if I get this message in my inbox or my spam box, no issue. If I don't do anything with this, that's the best possible scenario. Yes, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Junk mail happens. Your best bet is to be suspicious of it and delete it. And if you think that or if you're suspicious of something like this and you think that it might possibly be legitimate, you're not too sure. This one's a clear giveaway, but if there's one that's real crafty, maybe find another means to contact that person outside of the email, outside of that platform. Find another way to reach out to them and ask them, hey, did you send this? That's a good technique and tip to use. But I wanted to start off with the obvious. This one is a dead giveaway. Get rid of it right away. All right, now I want to kind of go into my spam folder, and I have cleaned it out. And I've kept a few representative samples of some spam that can come into your Gmail inbox, and I want to use these as talking points. I'm going to start with one that I actually recognize, and as I look at this email, I see one right here is the name of the sender, or the person who sent me this message. In this case, it's an organization called Typing Agent. Now, I don't know what that is behind that, but I can at least see it says Typing Agent. Now, I know Typing Agent is a vendor. It's a platform that we use in our district. So I'm like, okay, this is great. This one I recognize. Well, do I? Do I really recognize this? Or did they send an email and mask the email, or someone else send the email and mask it as typing agent, knowing that we use typing agent in our district because it's publicly listed somewhere. They are trying to phish and scam me. Well, one thing I can do, and I know this came into my spam folder, is just hover over it. And this is one thing that Google does for you in Gmail. If you hover over the name that's associated with that the sender, you can see that it gives me additional information, contact information, specifically the email address behind that sender. And in this case, it's Charmaine at typingagent.com. Now, everything seems okay with that, and it probably is. The fact that they are using the at typingagent.com domain, which is referred to as the domain address, is a good indicator that this is probably okay. I will say this, it's not a dead giveaway. It's not a surefire solution, or it's not a definite, but it is a pretty good indicator, because when you go to, not everybody can get a domain for free, first of all. You do have to pay for the more desirable domain. So if you have a business or an organization and you want your company name to have its own website with its own email addresses, so that, you know, when your clients get an email from you, it comes through as Charmaine at typingagent.com. Well, Typing Agent, the organization, has to go out and purchase that domain in a registry, and they have to pay annually for that. And depending on the desirability of the domain or web address, it could cost a lot more or it could cost a lot less. It just depends. So a .com is a pretty common type of domain, so they tend to cost more. But that being said, someone actually has to register with that domain. You can look up the registry information. You can see where it points to. So there are some measures that you can take to determine whether or not that domain is accurate. Now, whether or not this is really Charmaine from Typing Agent is another topic, but right off the bat, I'm going to say, okay, because that domain is there, that's a pretty good indication that this email is probably from the actual vendor. Now, I don't want to take that for face value, because there are ways that people can spoof email addresses. And that's where you hear that term spoofing, where someone claims to be someone they are not, and they can actually mask it to look like an email address coming from Charmaine at typingagent.com, when in all reality it came from someone else. So just be aware, there are people out there that will do that. So what can we do with this message? Well, at this point, my first level of defense is who's sending it. All right, it looks pretty good. At this point, I might open it. Now, if I saw something there that just didn't look right, and I'll show you one of those, I probably wouldn't even open this. But my first level of defense tells me this is probably coming from a domain that I trust, so let's go ahead and open it. Now, Google is going to give me this nice gray bar that says, why is this message in spam? And they're going to tell you it is similar to messages that were identified as spam in the past. Well, that's okay. Maybe Typing Agent has been coming into spam ever since I started talking with them. And I just never told Google, and you can see it up here at the top, that this is not spam. Because as soon as I say this is not spam, it will take it out and it will remember that. And then from then on, it will come into my inbox. So I'm going to look at the rest of this message now, and I'm going to say, okay, it's blocked the image at the top, but that might be a safety measure. It's referencing my name, so they know who I am. So that's a good indication that this might be a personalized message. But then I want to start looking through this and looking for proper grammar and spelling, punctuation, all of the kind of conventional English grammar functionality that would lend me to think that, okay, this is legit. And everything is looking pretty good right now, including their address, their email address, and their phone number. And all of the signs here point to this is a legitimate email. And you can even say that you're signed up to receive communication from Typing Agent. So I'm getting a lot of indications here that this is good. The other thing you can do, and I kind of gave it away there if you saw me, if you hover over an email like this, you can again take a look at the email behind it. If you look in the lower left-hand corner of my screen right now, and I'll kind of go away as I move over, you see that mail to link hover pop-ups? It says the message or the email behind this is a mail to link, and it is support@typingagent.com. So that's another indication that, yep, that's a legitimate email address. It is going to the email address that they put front facing. What's behind it is legitimate, and it looks like it's the same. So that's good. I can also hover over these links, and you'll see at the same time in that lower left-hand corner, I'm getting links that are going to what looks like typingagent.com followed by a string of random characters. So these are all pointing to a website that I do know and trust. So all indications to me are this is actually not spam. And in this case, I'm going to trust this and say report not spam. And I go right back out here, and there it is. It's gone. It's now probably in my inbox, and it is legitimate, and it will be coded that way ever for the future. So I want to take a take a quick look at some of these other ones. I hover over this one, and I can kind of see all of the email address behind it. And if I keep hovering, here's one. So this one's Anthony Jordan, Anthony.Jordan at Security Reports Info. That might be true. I scroll up to this one, and I look at the name, Tina Millier. It's an odd last name. It's possible, but when I hover over it, I get this email address that I don't recognize at all. And then if I look to the right, I can see the message regarding, "Hi, will you be interested in funding?" ? Well, that's real suspect. So I'm actually going to open this for the purposes of the demonstration. I would suggest if you see something like this that you just delete it right off the bat. If they really want you, they'll contact you. But right now I'm opening this message and I'm looking, "Hi, will you be interested in funding?" ? Ella Miller. Okay, so couple things going on here. Spelling. Notice that the sender's name is Tina Millier with this really wild email address, and then look at the message and who it's signed by, Ella Miller. So the last name is spelled differently. The first name is completely different. These are two indications that, you know what, something's not right here. Tina is not Ella, Ella is not Tina, and Millier versus Miller, some definite issues there. I do want to take this now. That right off the bat tells me, yeah, bogus email. Throw it out, delete it, don't do anything with it. Certainly don't click on any links. But I want to show you one other thing you can do, especially in Gmail, and that's come up to the three dots over here to the right and go down to Show Original. If you can't see something or it just shows up as Tina Millier and you don't really see the email address, you do have the original email that you kind of come out to and say, all right, look at this. Here's some of the header information for this message. Now, I know this is a bit more advanced, but for those of you that are prepared to go to this extent to check it out, know that this is here, Show Original Message, and you can see where this is kind of coming from. The domain, the message ID, where it's coming from, when it was created, who it was from. You see it all spelled out. Everything is written out for you. And then you can even look at the original message and you can kind of see some of the links. If there are any embedded links in here, you can see who the link is going or where the link is going to without actually hovering or clicking on something. You can see everything behind it. So I want to come back to this message. This one is definitely no good. It is definitely report as spam. It's already in spam, so all I would do is just click delete forever. And then I want to get to this one here. This one is Cloud Centrix, another one that's a little suspicious. Now, every vendor or organization who is going to send email is required in some sort of fashion like this, where they have an auto send type feature. They are required to offer an unsubscribe feature. That is a law that has been put into place, that they have to offer this with their email if they're going to organizationally reach out to you. And if you do find that you're getting hit with a lot of the same messages from some organization that you don't want, you can come down here and click on unsubscribe. Look what happens when I click on this one. It says suspicious link. Malicious emails often link to this site. Are you sure you want to proceed to networksender.com? This is another indication from Google. This is a Google tool that has been turned on to alert me to the fact that this link that I'm about to click on is suspicious, because they're getting reports from other people that malicious emails will often link to this domain, this networksender.com. In this case, I don't want to unsubscribe. I don't want to continue further with and click on proceed. I just want to back out of this and just delete this message, because normally a reputable email, if you click on their unsubscribe message, like, no, not that one, excuse me, Motorola Solutions. Here's one. We're looking at our first line of defense, Motorola Solutions. The domain looks good. It matches. I open it up. Matches up here. I look at the message. Yes, it looks legitimate. And then if I come down to unsubscribe in the fine details down here, I click on that and it takes me to a website that's part of the campaignresources.motorolasolutions.com, all legitimate, and it does successfully unsubscribe me. Perfect. That's how it should work. And then I'll come in and I'll delete this message. But if I take you back here, notice that Gmail pops up that little, something's not right. I'm going to back out of this one and I'm going to be suspect of it. Another reason why I would delete this one forever. And this last one, I saved this one because I wanted to use this as my show original message, and I just thought of it now. Look at the nature of this message. It's just, there's very little text. There is a suspicious link in here and an ID assigned to your request. I never made a request to these people. So that alone tells me something is very suspicious. I'm going to go ahead and click on Show Original. And when you come to the body of this message, you get all the way down through this HTML. And if we can try and find it, I want to look for that link that's in there. And let's see. So here's a list unsubscribe, abuse at abuse.smtp.com. Very suspicious, very suspect. I just don't have any indication that this message and the links that are embedded in it are going anywhere good. So I would just kind of discount this one. Nothing is looking legitimate to me. So I would come back here, and this read more link really is, I know it shows you down below, searchsecurity.techtarget.com. Nothing I recognize. I know I didn't request this, a support ticket on anything. In this case, I would just click delete forever. So again, I wanted to show you this, walk you through all of this. I know it went a little bit longer than we normally do, but there's a lot of different variables and there's a lot of different scenarios, and the emails will get very crafty. They'll try to impersonate someone that you work with. Be very skeptical. That is my best advice in all of this. Be very, very skeptical. Like I said earlier, if they really want you, they'll get a hold of you. So if you delete their message, they'll find another way to contact you. If you think something is not right, don't contact them back via the original message. Find a different platform to contact them. It could be chat, phone, letter, smoke signal. I don't care. Just find a different way to contact them and reach out and say, did you email me? Is this the subject of the email? Is this the content of the email? And then you'll hear from them. A lot of good tools built into Gmail. A lot of vendors, email vendors have some of these tools built in. Some do, some don't. But just know what to look for. Read all the messages. Read the alerts. Be skeptical. And if all else fails and you're not sure, just delete the message and contact someone another way. I don't see any questions in the sidebar. So I thank you for joining me today and spending a little extra time than we normally do. But we'll see you hopefully at the next session.